Hello YouTube, and welcome to episode 8 in the Symphogear reaction series. If I look super tired, that's because I am. I've been on nights recently, so that's very cool. It only happens once in a blue moon, but when it does, I do get quite tired. I kind of just woke up. It's like 1 p.m. It's not ideal if I'm honest. And in saying that, I've been very sorry about the schedule so far, so I plan to get this out normally kind of on a Thursday morning, which is about midweek. But that hasn't been able to happen recently, and I apologize. I want to get back to doing 2 episodes a week, and I want to get back to getting the episodes out on time. And hopefully, I could do that. I just need to move some stuff around, maybe record more on my free days, that kind of thing. Either way, onward and upward with episode 8, and I've got the comments up here, but I've written a little bit of a summary, just because a lot of the comments covered kind of similar topics, if that makes any sense. If I don't give credit specifically to you, just know that I read every comment and appreciate them very much. Now, this first point was made by Ran's Happy Gaming Family, Bonnie2132, Otro de Random Internet, Bamps, and Seraph Emeros. It was a very common one. Itchy Ball is actually Itchival or Uvale or the Bow of Earl. It's Norse. I'm not going to call it Itchy Balls anymore. I'm going to call it Itchival, which seems more appropriate. Itchy Balls would get a little bit old. And again, with the Christian thing, just going to try to ignore it. It's not really what I want to think about while I'm watching Symphogear, or in general, really. This next point was brought up by Ron's Happy Gaming Family and Bonnie2132 again. Fine collects the Nehushtan kind of shards with kind of at the end of that scene there in episode 7. Also talk to the kind of distinctions between Nehushtan and Solomon's Cane, which are complete relics, versus Ichival and kind of Gungnir, which are kind of Symphogears, if that makes any sense. There's a definite distinction there that I've now got grasp of, which is good. I thought M. Marsh talked pretty well to the characters here with this kind of sentiment, in that Chris is naive, but in a different way to Hibiki. The sibling scene, kind of in comparison to the post-credit scene, confirms this. So she's like, okay, so those siblings over there, they could reconcile and still fight and then make up in the end. So maybe I can do the same thing for Fine, somebody that I've obviously got some kind of connection with, be it familial or different to familial. But this wasn't the case. No, she was being naive. Fine seems omega evil, so don't do that. But again, a lot of Chris's character arc is going to be overcoming this and kind of moving on from Fine, I hope. Or maybe it'll just keep going, I don't know. We'll see. Otro Random the Internet and Bonnie2132 brought up that the Ryoko conversation that she kind of has with herself, it's like a monologue where she's like straight up like evil scientist stuff. It's very important. I've watched through it again. And yeah, I've got a lot of the concepts there now in my head about kind of transcending what they're doing at the moment through the fusion of relics and humans, as well as something about the Lulu Amel and kind of ascending out of the. It's all about ascending out of this plane and speaking to each other on another level or something to that effect, which kind of fits with the themes of the show a lot. But I'm sure that'll be kind of expounded upon further. It's a nice little tease for those paying attention, though. Otro and Bamps brought up the same point, which was that Chris is essentially best girl, and yeah, it's tracking that way. Yes, definitely characters that have the room to grow like that. Some of my favorites for sure. A little bit of Sundere there. Always love a Sundere. Can't really complain about that. Bonnie2132, Bamps, and Seraph Emeros brought up that Billion Maiden is what the text said. So, like, Billion Maiden, Billion Maiden. You know what I mean? It's meant to say Iron Maiden. It kind of does. Another point by Bonnie2132 is that the musical direction of the show really helps propel it forward and keep the fast pacing from feeling overwhelming. Like, it would be easy for this show to get exhausting for somebody, and I think that they hit all their emotional high points at the right spots and kind of lull in the right spots too. It's paced well, is my point, and the music is really important in that. So yeah, props to that. It's something I should probably comment on more. So I'm still not quite on with the OVAs, so I'm going to watch season 2's OVA before season 1, but also there's apparently some that take place in the middle of season 2. It's strange. I'm going to put a screenshot of my file set here and what it says in season 2. And should I follow this order just in the file set? I really don't know. So Just literally tell me what to watch after episode 12 of this show. That would be ideal. Thank you. And if it's up to kind of interpretation, then I'll throw a poll up on Discord or something and see what we want to watch first. Pencil Sharp brought up that Fine is a musical marking dictating the end of a piece, and this kind of links into what Fine was saying about the end of kind of everything in a way. I'm thinking there's some kind of not world like world apocalypse thing that she has going on. I don't quite know her motivation in all of it, but she wants to kind of achieve godhood, kind of. Or maybe I'm just like grasping at straws and don't really know what she's doing. Either way, that kind of Fine musical marking is a good indicator that she's bad news, if everything else wasn't already. I loved Flare Knight's comment, kind of talking to that. Like Chris obviously still has some amount of good in her as well. Like I think that's important that we see in a like kind of turncoat character. I think that's important in kind of our anti-hero slash kind of redemptive characters and that kind of thing. We need to see that slice of good early, otherwise it'll come off as a little bit trite and forced potentially. Obviously still has a conscience. Hibiki can obviously speak to that and yeah, expand out from there. But Hibiki's got her own issues at the moment, but we'll talk about that. And the last little comment here was by Bamps. Bamps said that Chris's pendant has to do with her gear, kind of following up my question from last week. So whenever we see her like clutching the pendant and that kind of thing, it's thinking about like her role as a Symphogear, and then we can link it into that. It's nothing from her past. Well, it technically is from her past, but it's no like tragic backstory thing, I don't think. Anyway, just going to jump into the recap from last week's episode before jumping into episode 8. The fight between Chris and Hibiki is continued from the last episode, and Chris is befuddled how Hibiki is so strong and increasingly becomes frustrated towards Hibiki and her kind of naive attempts at peace. Chris believes that as long as there are people fighting, there will be war and she can't rest until there's world peace. And again, her backstory probably informs this a little bit. Chris hits them with the armor purger and then starts singing. It is revealed that Chris is attuned and she possesses the lost second relic, Ichival. She uses it to transform into her Symphogear form, ditching Nehushtan in the process. Chris starts to get the upper hand over Hibiki before Tsubasa joins the fray and kind of stunts on Chris for a bit, like really shows up and like, hey, I'm better than you at this. I'm gonna show off a bit. The fight is interrupted by a bunch of noise, I think, where they come down on Chris and the rest of the girls, and Hibiki pushes Chris out of harm's way, risking her own life in the process. This kind of causes a crisis of faith with Chris later on as well. Also in the moment, but also Fine's there, so she has different stuff to focus on. Fine here in this scene generates the noise, so she's the threat in that regard, and she also officially ditches Chris, stealing away Nehushtan in the process. Chris chases after Fine, leaving Hibiki and Tsubasa okay after the fight. It is revealed that it's Yukine Chris, who was kind of a potential attuned that was kind of taken away a couple years ago, kind of stolen, and that's relevant to the newspaper that we saw in episode 1. Either way, she's kind of a known entity to the disaster squad. After the battle, it seems that Tsubasa is making some healthy steps in the right direction, which is nice for a change, but still has that question of personal motivation hanging over her. There was this line, it was, I was sure there was something I loved a long time ago. So we're going to kind of talk to that a little bit. Did she used to have, say, a hobby or something like that she's forgotten about through her kind of focus on fighting? We will see. Either way, Tsubasa has softened on Hibiki and kind of takes her under her wing a little bit, pardon the pun. Miku is giving Hibiki the silent treatment, and there's seemingly trouble in paradise in this regard. Miku feels betrayed by Hibiki after they promise not to tell any more secrets. And yeah, it seems like this isn't going away. This is going to be one of the central conflicts going forward. Then a kind of strange scene, not out of place, but just a little bit random, plays out. Chris is kind of out on her own, like after Fine's essentially kicked her out and said, hey, there's these two kids over here and they're fighting. Let's run over to them and tell them not to fight. And then the two kids, even whilst they're fighting, kind of stand up for each other. It's revealed that they're siblings, and even though that they're fighting, they still love each other very much. Something that is currently incomprehensible to Chris. Either way, these two kids were fighting over their missing father, who they find eventually, and then they kind of tell the moral of the story, which is cool. There's also this thing about Chris having not trouble singing, but doesn't like singing. She hates it. And again, singing is a view into the internal, so she hates looking internal into her own kind of feelings in that regard. Then there's the Ryoko is sus scene where she's, just sitting in her kind of lab late at night with lots of pictures of Hibiki on the wall, just kind of talking to herself about some vaguely kind of evil stuff. Evil's the wrong word. Maybe like, I don't know, cultish. We'll see what happens there. The episode kind of ends with, or the episode proper, I should say, ends with Hibiki trying to make up with Miku, but continues to hurt her more and more. It comes to a head when Miku says that she can't be friends with Hibiki anymore, and again, this is where we're going to jump off into next episode regarding Hibiki. Then there's a post-credit scene where Chris tries to make up with Fine. There's kind of a bit of mirroring there. Fine is on the phone to some kind of evil English-speaking man, it seems like. Fine at this point completely turns on Chris, sending noise after Chris, and Chris hates that. And that's where we end that story for her. I wonder if we're going to pick up directly after that. Just some general predictions in that vein. Chris's backstory may be continued further here. This would be a good place to do it. She's kind of at her lowest point. I want Miku to find somebody to confide in a little bit. Maybe it's the three friends we've seen in various scenes. Maybe it's back at the kind of, what's the place called, where she had the okonomiyaki. If she can, talk to that lady, that would be ideal. In a similar vein, I think that Hibiki may try to process this by talking it through with Tsubasa. Maybe there's some kind of similar experience that Tsubasa had with Kanade at one point that they want to speak about. I don't know, this is just me spitballing what I would do if I was writing it. And from an overall plot perspective, I think there's kind of this espionage thing, or kind of political intrigue thing going on, that may be expanded a little bit further. And a larger plan around testing Hibiki further from Ryoko may be put into place. Either way, excited to jump into episode 8, but just before that, just going to do my shill stuff quickly. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And there's the Discord, which will be in the description. Please come if you like Discord things. It's a cool place to hang out and talk, so if you wanted to do that, then the floor is open to you. Either way, just going to jump into episode 8 of Symphogear right now. Rightio, got episode 8 up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen. 23 minutes and 41 seconds on this video, so sync up accordingly. Again, picture-in-picture down below. And yeah, just going to give it a 3, 2, 1. Rightio. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, raining. Nice omen. Ooh. Oh yeah, they still have to share a room. That's kind of funny. Wonder if Hibiki's awake. Yep. That's the same picture she looked at last episode as well, that Hibiki looked at. Okay. Oh. Okay. I guess Chris is on the run now? Yes, hello, Chris. Ooh. Miku and Chris? Hey, yo! This isn't what I expected at all. Oh, this is exciting. Yo, that's cool. I will listen to your song, because you asked so nicely. What are these two going to talk about? Oh my god. That's very clever from a writerly perspective. What a cool way to make like a really cool like reconciliation scene between two characters. Again, I'm linking the end of last episode, right? There's two essentially like rejection scenes in a way, right? Two like splitting up of two relationships. So we're gonna take parties of like either relationship and make them talk it out, I guess. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's like that seems really cool. I love how piercing that main synth is too. It's very cool. I've got time. I got time. I need to do something at the end of this episode, so there'll be a break there. Okay. Beneath the unchecked sun. Well, there's no sun out at the moment. Okay, where? Suburban Area 6. That's good. Okay, so it's where we were in the first scene. She certainly was, yes. Interesting. No Miku. So that was this morning, I guess. Did do you think Chris had any kind of indication? Okay, stop. But in the first like fight, like in episode 6, did Chris have any indication that Miku was Hibiki's friend? Because if she did, then this could be really bad. Okay, no, it was the opposite. Never mind. I was talking shit. And like a PE uniform. That's fun. Probably her PE uniform now that I'm thinking about it. Indeed. Oh. Oh no. Oh. No way. Great. So okay, she lives at her dorm and then this is her family home, I'm guessing? Okay. This is pretty fancy clothes. Great. Oh, okay. Another very straight scene. Oh, lots of bruises. You're the quiet one too. Well, maybe not quiet's the wrong word. You're the prickly one. Indeed. Hmm. Oh, with the crutch. At least she's back at school. Hmm. No, you don't need to become someone else. Hmm. You're trying your best, and that's what's important. She most certainly was. What did she tell you? To keep being you. Be yourself. Well, except for Hibiki. Hmm. Good. Change of perspective. Daisuke des? Yeah, she's good at that. She kind of swung it around. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, and how are you gonna make friends again, right? You've been burnt before. Oh my god. Hey yo. Yeah, just go beat up Hibiki. At least giving your thoughts on it. Oh, look at that tsundere shit. Alright, you're literally not a bad person. Great. Oh, hand. No, I hate friends. Oh, hang on. So she does have some concept of it, I think. What is this shot? That's a really great shot. That shot was awesome. Okay, another noise fight. Probably wise. I got this. Oh, that melody then, the music's really nice too. Is this the choir that the commenter was talking about before? No, I don't. I'm not from here. Are you going to help with the noise? Okay. Everybody's gone. I mean, it's. You can't blame yourself like that, though. Hello, noise. Yeah, shoulder the burden. Hell yeah. Can't sing? Oh, the Chad. He's here. Yes. We love Genjiro. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Oh, yeah, she says Ichivol. Okay, alright. And this is more of your traditional magical girl transformation sequence. Okay, great. Still not sure about the whole head situation, but the rest of it's pretty cool. What are you going to sing about? Great. I got no chance of ever reading those. I got nothing. That was pretty cool. She did like some flips. Yeah, Chris is cool. I'm gonna blow you all to tiny pieces. Oh, Hibiki's here. Who's this? God, she's going into like a Resident Evil building. Did she get baited? Oh, hello. I was about to say, I thought I heard Miku scream. This is awkward. Okay, so that wasn't her family home. That was like the home of the lady from Flower? Weird. What are you guys saying? Oh, do we not get to see? Great. Shut up, Flower Lady. Oh, intimate. I want to fight too. Kiss. No way. Yeah, go punch the noise in the face. Oh yeah, I forget the stakes. She like dies if it touches her. That's crazy. And okay, and then she says Gungnir. All right, I'm starting to get it. What are we singing about? Great, love this song. This one's like the big like everything's going okay song. And then the lyrics here literally about Miku this time. I don't know if you can outrun the noise though. This is good. I love the text on screen here. Okay, so that's when we see what was on the phones. Don't die, Miku? Great. Yeah, you gotta rely on other people, maybe. Even emotionally, kind of what Ogawa was talking about that one episode too. This is a cool shot, like her flying through the city like that too. Is Chris gonna show up here as well? It's not out of survivor's guilt that I want to save others. It's because it's Kanade's dream. Hmm. Oh, the shooting stars again. Get baited. Yeah, blow it out of the air. Sick. I think she got it. Oh, what a hero. Like that panic that I'm about to hit the ground. Great. Yeah, do you want to go to like a hospital? That's nice. Great. What were you scared of? Exactly. Not the monsters, the emotions. Just kiss each other on the lips. Like, what are we doing here? I thought she was gonna throw up. Yeah, you are. My phone. Yeah, selfie. Oh, kind of replacing the old picture too. We really do look cursed. They look fine. Is that the end? No, okay, a little bit more. What did Chris get up to? Yeah, it'd be really lame if it was like, oh, you saved her, you did the wrong thing, and there's Ryoko. You're sus. Okay, great. Yeah, get some refreshments. Good. Hmm. Okay, but still kind of on her own a little bit, not into the fold yet. That's good. Hmm. Great. Okay, and then that mirrors the start of the episode. Yep, perfect. Yep, exactly what I wanted to say. Great. That's how you write an episode of anime, everybody. It's not it's not rocket science to make something kind of that forwards the story, right? But it's also singularly constructed like and makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not just one part of a story, it's one part of a story that also has a beginning, middle and end. Just a few things you need. It's not that hard. Everybody should do it more. Yeah, it wasn't as fast paced. It kind of was. Okay, I'll talk about what I mean here. Like again, last episode we kind of ended with Hibiki and Miku are split up, and then they're back together again, which is cool. I want them to be back together. I like that dynamic more than kind of moping around. But I think if there wasn't more to do, then we would stretch that out longer. It indicates that there's more stuff we need to do before the end of the season, that this isn't still our central conflict. Hibiki, like, considering not being herself, right, as well. I need to become stronger and not be myself. Like the exact opposite of what Miku said. And yeah, I'll continue my thoughts on that in a little bit of analysis on this episode. Now, that was a great little episode. We got kind of the resolution to our Miku Hibiki thing for now again. Last time I said it was the resolution, it wasn't, so, take it with a grain of salt. But at any rate, we got kind of the union of two unlikely characters in Miku and Chris, kind of chatting it out. Again, I'm talking to the two conflicts at the end of last episode and how we're taking a party from each, and talking about our problems. That's kind of in my prediction segment. I'm like, I want to see somebody talk it through, if you know what I mean. I want to see, you know, actual mature characters not moping and going off and doing their own thing for a while. I want them to be proactive in it. And the episode is extremely focused on that. We've got a little bit of stuff with Tsubasa. Tsubasa kind of helps Hibiki in this regard as well. But the central conflict remains on Hibiki and Miku. And I think it works as a one-off episode because of that. I feel satisfied having watched this episode. It's actually quite nice. Probably should have watched it last week, but anyway, that's a different conversation. Yeah, it feels like a really great stopping point. Not really any interaction with the other big plot lines of the season so far. Just yeah, Miku Hibiki, and they fight, and it's pretty cool. Either way, going to pop that episode up here right now. And yeah, just going to go through and talk about what I liked, what I didn't like. Just right off the bat, the production is a little bit rougher this episode. There's a few funny looking Hibikis and a few funny looking Mikus, but it is what it is. If I was going to spend all time nitpicking on that kind of stuff, I think it would be a pretty dull video. So I'm going to talk about the stuff that interests me instead. So I didn't notice at the end of the episode, but I want to see if it's not raining, because that'll be another kind of connected piece of tissue as well. I don't believe it was raining, so, the outlook is bad, it's raining, it's nighttime, we're separated, and we're kind of in our room that we share. I kind of forgot that they shared a room as well, that makes it really awkward. And then, yeah, we contrast the rain right now with the kind of clear skies at the end of the episode. I think that's kind of what we're getting at. Kind of circular in that way. It makes you feel good, neuron activated type stuff. We see Miku looking at the same photo that Hibiki was looking at last episode. Again, this is obviously a good memory. This kind of looks like what Hibiki looked like in the first episode at the concert, kind of. So I wonder if that picture was taken then. Well, obviously not then because Miku wasn't there, but you know what I mean, around that time. Again, this picture's important because, we changed something slightly with it later. I'll just talk about it now. Taking the new picture and contrasting with this old picture is that, hey, you know, we used to be all sunshine and roses and used to laugh and do all these kind of things, right? And then we look at the picture right at the end. Let me get it up. This one's a bit more uncertain. They're obviously not smiling as hard or any of that kind of thing, right? But they're still together. That's the important part. It's the, through line between the pictures. No matter what, we'll be together. No matter the emotion, we're together. Again, so clever. It's a lot with a little, and that's all we need, right? Either way, both can't sleep and then, tossing and turning, moping kind of. We contrast this to Chris still kind of on the run in a way, right? Running from the noise that are still kind of pursuing her from the end of last episode. The noise, yeah, they've turned on Chris. Obviously, they're affiliated with Fine in that regard. And we saw in the previous scene that Miku was getting up and getting ready for school, right? She's going for a walk, still raining, and she finds a certain somebody. Chris is probably collapsed out of fatigue at this point, right? Just generally. Probably been on the run for a little bit. I wonder what that says about the timeline. Has this been like a few days? I'd imagine. Something like that. Nowhere to go. On the run. Either way, this is when I got really hype. And I don't know why I got really hype, but I did. And I think it's cool that I did as well. Just two characters that I would never see interacting with each other. I think that speaks to the quality of the characters, that I'm excited about their conversations. It's good. Episode 8, Beneath the Unchecked Sun. Obviously talking to Miku Kohinata. Is that her name? I think that's her second name, right? It's meaning sun, something to that regard, I think. From this scene, we can pick up that Genjiro has seen, or not seen, but picks up traces of Ichival, which means that, he knows that Chris is around. Therefore, when later on he just kind of shows up, it makes a little bit more sense. Maybe they had a conversation there that we haven't seen yet as well. That would be interesting, I think. We can talk about this expression here on Hibiki a little bit, like kind of hyper focusing in on her work a little bit, try to distract from Miku. There's maybe a little bit of I'm a sword, I am just a soldier. I'm going to really focus in on my job to ignore the personal stuff happening in my life. A little bit of Tsubasa in that, maybe. Maybe I'm talking a little bit too much into it. She does mention later that she needs to become stronger at the expense of what makes her her, which is obviously the wrong route, and Tsubasa kind of talks her around, but yeah, I believe there is something in this for sure. These three girls are back and they apologize for what they did the other day. I think it was kind of didn't realize how serious it had gotten between Hibiki and Miku, and then kind of made some, I don't know, innocuous comments that got interpreted the wrong way. I don't think they needed to apologize anyway. And yes, a bit of fourth wall here. If this were an anime, what would we do? I don't know. I could hardly think. I love how Hibiki just kind of brushes these characters off too. They're kind of talking with her, and it's just like, oh no, but I'm thinking of Miku still. Yeah, we bounce to this scene. Miku is kind of taking Chris into, I'm guessing, the okonomiyaki ladies. She's from Flower. It's her house, I think, because it's in the same like shopping district. I think that makes sense. Originally, I thought it was Miku's mom or something, but it doesn't seem like that was the case. I think the important stuff we can take from this scene, and we see it a little bit later on, is that Chris is really beaten up. Like, bruises everywhere, signs of abuse almost, if not just signs of fighting. It makes this little bit of care that Miku shows for her all the more impactful, I think. Your clothes were soaked, so I gave you some of mine. You can kind of tell it's similar to the P uniform that Hibiki and Miku wear. And yeah, she essentially stripped her naked, now that I'm thinking about it. Miku's like a deviant. She needs to be stopped. Anyway, Miku might be the gayest character in anime history. Like she's super gay. Like super gay. I do like that we get kind of a bashful, cute Chris under the blanket after that scene too. Pretty nice. Again, multiple layers to the character. Doesn't always have to be one way all the time. It's good. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The bruises here. And again, do we think that Miku suggested this? Anyway, I know. Kind of bathing with each other is a little bit more of a acceptable thing in Japan, but yeah, no, not in the West anyway. And here's what I wanted to see: they start to like talk it out a little bit. Miku gives Chris some really good advice, kind of subconsciously or without really knowing their situation, and Chris gives Miku some really good advice without knowing her situation. It's good stuff. And in contrast to that conversation that's going on there, we get this conversation between Tsubasa and Hibiki. I think the reveal here is also that Tsubasa's back at school, which is good for her, making steps on the road to recovery. So Hibiki's kind of thinking, right, her thought process at this point is, well, I tried to be who I am and, persist in that way and try to like make use of this power and grow stronger and do all these other kind of things, right? And it didn't work. So I may need to become someone else to become as strong as I want to be to save everybody. Again, it's talk to the internal conflict of can I remain myself whilst trying to be the strongest person ever? And then add into that she seemingly becomes really strong when in contact with these complete relics, such as what was it called? Durandal.
in that one episode, and she didn't become herself. She did something out of character. So yeah, a lot of this conflict coming for Hibiki, to be sure. Another great thing here is Tsubasa's trying this kind of costume one, right? Trying to be the person that, spurs somebody else on, trying to be somewhat motivational. But she openly admits that she isn't good at it. And you can kind of see that in the dialogue. But she's trying, and that's what's important, and that's what's endearing. You don't need to become someone else to protect the things you hold dear. Little blush? Sorry, Kanade was much better than me at cheering people up. But I think it did the job. And again, in the exact same location, we saw Miku giving a similar speech about a very similar thing to Hibiki. So we're harkening back to that a little bit as well. There's kind of layers here, it's good. There's an interesting little conversation here about the superb songs as well. They're a song of destruction that wipe out both you and the adversary. So even if Tsubasa's hurt right now, she got off pretty lightly in the grand scheme of things considering what happened to Kanade. And then Hibiki kind of flips the script here a little bit. No, they're not purely songs of destruction. Kanade's kind of superb song inspired me to be the way I am right now, in a way. Your songs were what gave me the strength to survive. They aren't just for destruction, they lift people's spirits. This is interesting in context with what Ryoko was talking about last episode, with kind of alluding to perpetual superb songs, which is an interesting concept that Hibiki can potentially, put forth. Again, it still speaks to how much humanity you can keep whilst being stronger and stronger. That's, again, Hibiki's conflict going forward. If you take away the self-sacrifice aspect from a, superb song, and you're just allowed to do them over and over again, do they become as special? Again, this is very predictive, but I'm trying to think about the conflicts going forward in the series as well. Then we jump back over to this conversation. Again, it's kind of back and forth. Miku probes Chris a little bit. Have you ever had a fight with a friend? And then Chris goes into her backstory a little bit, which I want to talk about. Never having any friends. My parents were halfway around the world when they were taken from me. So I'm guessing that she was moving around a lot with them for work. So I've never had any friends, and the one person that I thought was a friend, the one person that I thought really understood what I was about stopping fighting, about this kind of world peace idea, was really just using me all along, obviously talking to Fine. Adults are all trash. Her only experience with adults, of course, has been these guys here, and I guess her parents, but those parents kind of abandoned her in a way as well. Maybe it's a conversation with Genjiro needed. Maybe it's somebody that actively has her best interests in mind, somebody that potentially saves her from something dangerous that gets her mind moving in the other direction. They didn't listen to what I had to say. They didn't listen when I told them to stop. Adults are all trash. I wonder if we can imply some things there, some not so good things at all. I really hope not. That's really tragic if it's the case. I love that Chris gives some advice that I would give to myself back in the past, right? You should just beat the shit out of whoever it is you fought with. Now in the past, okay, there's a difference between kind of male kind of teenage conflicts and female teenage conflicts, right? If it's a male teenage conflict, you punch it out and then you're mates the next day. It can get a lot more toxic with women. I can tell you that firsthand. Again, this isn't applicable to all situations, of course. People are very different, but again, I kind of agree with Chris here. Just punch each other in the head, you'll feel better. Unexpectedly here, Miku thanks Chris. A simple thank you for caring about me, thank you for listening to my problems, thank you for offering any kind of advice at all. Again, cold character, warm character, it's funny that she's had kind of associations with Hibiki and Miku, and they've made huge steps into changing Chris's worldview. It's nice. And of course, yeah, bit of tsundere. I'm going to finally reveal my name to you. Great. And then, yeah, this is a bit on the nose. You're not a bad person, Chris. Yeah. We know. I'd very much like for us to be friends, just right there at the end of the scene. Miku offering kind of the branch of friendship. Your first friend. You said you've never had friends. Here's a friend. Great. But of course, Chris pushes her away. There's still some more development here, of course. Chris needs to kind of atone for her sins in a way. I think this line is in reference to Chris being aware that Miku was actually at the scene with Hibiki that time. I did terrible things to you. Or maybe you as a representation of society as a whole. Anyway, Chris's mind is changing. and it's going to be a slower process than other things in the show. Yep, and now we push into kind of the final conflict of the episode with about half of it left, so that's cool. We've got noise, plenty of them, and all of our characters are going to convene on one spot. Originally, Tsubasa wants to go into the front lines again, even though she's got direct orders from the doctors not to. And Hibiki says some stuff that kind of reassures her in a way. Hibiki's got this one. You don't need to be around on the front lines like that. Please protect everyone, including yourself. Then this comes a little bit out of nowhere. There's a bit of Chris kind of realizing the error of her ways in a little bit more detail. So sees the sirens going off. She hasn't really heard the sirens before like that. She hasn't really kind of interpreted them as kind of a bad thing. She also hasn't really lived in a city like this. She hasn't really seen the human impact of it all. And when she does, she starts to break down. I kind of think this comes out of nowhere in a way. And it's not my favorite part, but, at least we move on from it fairly quickly. But we see a determined Chris coming out of it all, and she's going to shoot some noise. She originally tries to sing her song, but fails. And we need some kind of Giga Chad to come in and save the day. Chris is at her lowest, but it's important that she brings herself out of it, tries to make amends, but then needs somebody stronger behind her helping. Good scene, and I'm wondering if there's a conversation that we don't see on screen here between these two characters. I would imagine that there is some kind of olive branch scenario. This is where we see a larger, kind of classic magical girl transformation sequence play out. We see two of these this episode. They're very similar looking, in my kind of opinion, and I hope they bring a bit of unique flair to that in the future of the series, and I think that they do. So, looking forward to that. Well, maybe this conversation that I think happened doesn't happen because she just jumps away. And there's another Billion Maiden. I actually can read this one because I know what it says. Great. I like how fun Chris's song is here. I think it's similar to the one last episode. But yeah, the lyrics still make sense. She just wants to, blow everything up. Relatable. Now we get to this scene. This is where Hibiki's side of the story picks up. She runs into this building because she hears somebody scream and is attacked by this kind of unique octopus looking noise. She's going to exclaim something, potentially again using her voice, using her song maybe. But, Miku doesn't allow that. Miku suspects that the kind of noise is attracted to the music, right? Or at least, sees through it in a way, sees through noise. Can we talk a little bit to the, hey, I'm not going to let you, say what's on your mind right now. We're going to have to speak in a different way. We're going to have to communicate in a different way. I love the framing of this scene. I love that we don't see what's on the phones immediately. We see it a little bit later on, and it hits harder because of it. This works as tangible stakes to the scene as well. I can't sing to activate my Symphogear without putting them into danger, without attracting the noise. So Miku has to do something to help the situation, has to, I'm going to take control here in a way. Miku here with the line, I want to fight too. Very important. I'm wondering how we're going to integrate Miku into what Hibiki's doing, if we're going to do that at all. That would be interesting, I think. Another part that I keep failing to understand is that the stakes here are huge with the noise. If they touch Miku at all here, she's dead. She's gone. Same with the lady from Flower. I want to fight too. I can't let you shoulder this burden alone, and then runs off and takes the kind of noise out with her. I love the connection here that she does track as well. I love that she can kind of lead the noise on a little bit longer than normal. This allows Hibiki to sing her song and become a Symphogear and do all that stuff and save the lady from Flower. Just drops her off to Ogawa and then hops on her way to go save Miku. I love the melody of this song. It keeps playing kind of this really hopeful tune. It's almost superhero-esque. And I've talked a lot about the lyrics to this song before and how I think they link to Miku in a lot of ways, and now that link is very clear. It's, I can't believe that I'm in this situation right now, but I love Miku and want to save Miku. So this is great. The music's kind of swelling in the background, and then we see what happened in the phone conversation. It's kind of Miku backing up what she just said with actions, which is good. Hibiki makes some revelations here that aren't exactly clear to me right this second, but they may be at a later point in the series. I wanted to use the power of the Symphogear to help others, but that was my conceit. I'm not the only one giving it my all. everyone else is too, and then panning over to Miku and then over to Kanade. So I guess what they're saying is I wanted to use the Symphogear to help others, but didn't realize that I had to rely on other people to do that as well. I can't do it all by myself. I can't keep this secret. I can't keep it from the people close to me. I can't ride this journey alone. Again, I link it back to the conversation, the small conversation she had with Ogawa that one time about all the things that go into making Tsubasa kind of the idol that she is. All of the different inputs that he needs into that. Interesting. Again, it's mainly just saying, hey, I should have told Miku. Which, yeah, you probably should have. I like the big, like, star jump in the sky, too. I think that's pretty cool. Ever since that day, I've been carrying on in Kanade's place. Yeah, kinda. In a good way, yeah, but also I think you're also bringing your own unique personality to it as well. You're not just trying to replace her, you're taking a lot of what made her great and then adding your own spin to it. I think that's what you're doing anyway, Hibiki. I love that we see this from Miku now, and then she has a revelatory moment, right? Like, she's just about out of energy, she's just about to give it all up, but I can't. I promise to see the shooting stars with Hibiki. It's her love for Hibiki that's keeping her going here. And then she dodges out of the way of the octopus man. In the process, flung off the cliff and caught by Hibiki. Hibiki super punches the noise here, which has changed color. I don't know when and where it changed color, but sure. And Hibiki jumps after the falling Miku, catches her, lands, and they both have a laugh. It's pretty tropey, but I think it's quite cute as well. At the end of it, they're just like kind of focusing a little bit more on their friendship rather than all the drama, right? Back to the good old days, just for a fleeting moment. Hibiki reiterates that she's Miku's friend. This causes Miku to break down. Yeah, touching scene, of course. I wasn't angry that you kept secrets from me. I'm angry that you tried to carry everything on your own and that I felt useless as a result. This caused, Miku to worry about Hibiki changing, Hibiki not being who she was, or is. So as long as they can kind of rely on each other, they won't need to worry about this anymore. They can both be strong together. And then, yeah, Hibiki brings it back down to earth again by calling her, like, ugly or something. You've got stuff all over your face, it's funny. Also, it hasn't gone unnoticed that they're essentially mounting each other here. Anyway, very straight. And great, this is where we see the picture that comes back later. As soon as they took the picture, I knew what they were going to do with it. And yeah, works well. Bit of epilogue stuff here, a little bit of tease of Miku involvement in what Hibiki's doing in a greater way. They're not going to pursue kind of the NDA stuff as strong with Miku anymore. Genjiro gives it the okay in that Hibiki is saving people, and that's what's important. Having unexpected help, because, Miku helped save the lady from Flower as well. And then Ryoko shows up and, I don't know, is very happy again. Weird, sus person. Miku brings up that, hey, I'm still missing a friend in all of this. Yukine Chris, do you know who that is? Of course, Genjiro doesn't reveal that to Miku. Small revelation to Miku that she's not on the casualty list. And we see kind of Chris walk off into the night once more. Again, not brought into the fold, but a little closer to doing so, of course. Again, we see the reverse of the first scene of the episode. They're in bed together, as opposed to separate beds. They're goofing off, having a great time. And yeah, the picture, which I've talked about already. And then into the ED. Yep, again, really good little episode. I like how self-contained it is. I've talked about that a number of times. Some interesting stuff going forward, some interesting character dynamics that I didn't think we were going to see. Not a lot of intrigue into the plot, but didn't need it. What we needed at this moment was kind of a little bit of reconciliation between two of the show's main characters, and that's what we got. All in all, pretty good. I'm pretty sure that the kind of noise that showed up wasn't random. Maybe. Again, Ryoko seems sus still. But we'll see. We'll see if any of that has any ramifications at all. Next week and beyond, I guess. Before I sign out officially, I just want to do my shill stuff. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join the Discord at your leisure. Rightio, thank you very much for watching this week. Again, sorry for the one episode, but should be rectified next week. And yeah, just thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys next week.